Hello, Eric Walczykowski here, CEO of Bespoke Partners and host of Tailored Talent. Today, I'm joined by two of my partners in the product and tech practice, Ryan Bonner and Haley Mundy. Ryan, Haley, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to see you.
Thanks, Eric. Happy to be here.
Cool. Well, this is the hot topic. I mean, there is so much going on right now with SaaS and the SaaS apocalypse being driven by AI, which I think is all really interesting. Ryan, I'll pick on you. You and I are old enough to have seen many tech cycles. And to me, AI is just the next tech cycle, whether it was mainframe to mini computer, on-prem to cloud, mobile, what have you. AI is the next one. But it is impacting product and technology roles at our clients and their portfolio companies. Ryan, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody is looking for leadership impact, and leadership that is the term we've been using is AI Adept, but everyone is asking for leadership that knows how to gain an advantage, and that advantage can take different shapes, but gain an advantage by incorporating AI into many different aspects. And it's not just the product and tech practices. Our other practices across go-to-market and finance and senior leadership, they're all getting asked to find leaders that are going to lean into AI and really gain that experience. So, and it's coming at a time where, you know, there's a lot of learning going on. Frankly, there's a lot of people really bringing AI to the forefront, but it's not a multi-year, 10-year, 15-year level of experience. It's a high rate of change, a high rate of learning, and high impact. So it is really driving the leadership changes in software businesses. It is absolutely not stopping these businesses from focusing on where AI is going to really help differentiate their business, not is it going to take over their business. So it's a really interesting time in the market.
No, for sure. Haley, what are you seeing as we look at the specific roles? We do a lot of product related roles. We do a lot of technology related roles. How is that impacting the specific roles as we scorecard them?
So what I really ask my clients to do and our sponsors to do, I mean, we spend all of our time in product and technology, so those are usually the conversations that we're called into, but I like to have them step back because AI has, transitioned from a year ago, 2 years ago. There's maybe one person in the company that owns it, maybe two, it's a chief AI officer or it's the CTO. And to Ryan's point, we've seen that evolve and really transition into, AI is now everyone's priority across the entire ELT. So it's really important to understand just what AI looks like at that particular portfolio company, who owns what, who's been involved in what, where the gaps really are. Is it platform? Is it product? Is it enablement, operating model, org changes that need to happen? There's so much that you have to think through now. So I really like to step back and understand where the gaps are, where the challenges are that they're experiencing today, and then how those are affecting the roles that we're typically hiring for. So whether it's a CPO, CTO, CIO, the trends that we're seeing now are that, the foundational issues, the platform issues that have been challenging to a lot of our private equity clients over the past, several years have now become less and less of a challenge because of engineering and software development now becoming more and more ubiquitous through AI. So more of the focus has organically shifted to product. And, in a lot of cases, product has really become the bottleneck. And so it's really important. A lot of our conversations revolve around CPOs specifically, because a lot of the onus has fallen to them now in terms of what products are we developing, and are those the right products to the market, to our customers, as opposed to how we are developing them, which has been the primary challenge in years past.
No, for sure. Well, it's fascinating that we talk about AI being embedded in the functions, and Ryan, you alluded to that this is actually impacting all of our practices. And I think back, I think it was 12 months ago or so, Ryan, you published a piece, and I think a lot of it comes from yours and mine. We're operators at heart, and that's what we do. And that contrarian piece that you published is all of our competitors were saying, oh, you need a chief of AI. You need this AI role to make sure it happens. And we took a different posture. Talk to me a little bit about that and embedding AI across the functions and AI adept leaders, as opposed to that one person that's going to be the Superman of AI.
Yeah, it reminded me of gosh, was it around, I don't know, 2008, 2009, when businesses in retail and different consumer facing businesses all needed a chief digital officer. One person come in and make us digital. And it was a rage for a period of time, of course, and lots of people took those roles, and that's not a discredit to any one person in those roles, but it quickly became the responsibility of the go-to-market team. What is marketing doing? What is product doing? What is engineering doing? What is everything that every leader needed to think about how to get more efficient using digital. AI is really no different, and I think it stems from a lack of understanding about where it's going. And so it's natural to have a period of time where let's get somebody in here who's going to understand this and guide us and show us the way. But just like AI it has incredibly fast rates of adoption, and that is dwarfing the longevity it took from go to on-prem to cloud or adopt into mobile. Those things took years. AI adoption is taking weeks and months to get into different levels of engagement or different aspects of a function. And so the lifespan of a chief AI officer standing alone is really, really short, and particularly if they're doing their job well, because AI is going to go into the engineering, product, go-to-market muscles that, because it's so easy to adopt. And so the rate of change and the tool capabilities are so easy to embrace. And so, I don't want to disparage anyone sitting in a role that is a chief AI officer, because if they're doing it right, they have pushed it into the rest of the org, and it is not their sole responsibility. But it is it's a common, and who knows what the next one will be, and maybe I'll still be in the career to see it. But it's oftentimes when there's something, a real monumental shift in capability or a way to go to market or whatever it is, it's a knee-jerk reaction to put one person in charge, say just guide us. Here, it's turned so quickly.
No, absolutely. And one of the things I think we look at in organizations, and I'm part of this PE CEO roundtable group, and we talk about the adoption of AI. And AI is, really impacting businesses in two ways. Folks are either using it to disrupt their industry and the way workflow is done, or they're trying to make it more efficient or processes more efficient. And the posture we took early on was let's give AI to everybody, and let's encourage people to use it and teach us how AI can actually either disrupt our business or make our processes more efficient. How does that impact the technology officer or the information officer? Because if we think back historically around the technology officer, the information officer, it's, well, I got to control everything, and I got to make sure we go through this. And boy, we've got marketing officers coding now. So Haley, talk to me a little bit about that and how that's changed that role.
It's been an interesting shift. I mean, we've seen, whether it's CTO, CIO, or even CPO, the technical components of these roles are always very important, and they will continue to be very important. However, what we've seen emerge even more so over the past year, let's call it, is the need for really strong change agents. They're these executives that in the past have been able to kind of exist in their, technical bubble or their product bubble, now really have to figure out, how they put themselves out into the organization more broadly. When we're looking for this type of talent, we're looking for change agents, exceptional cross-functional experience. They have, peers and leaders that just speak incredibly highly of how they partnered across the organization, how they help them lead their teams. Like these in some ways intangible or some of the softer skills of these technical leaders have become just so much more paramount over the past couple of years, because it's one thing to build it, but another thing for them to come and for the people to actually come and want to implement it and actually adopt, this new technology and processes. So that change agency piece, the transformation piece, and really as it relates to people, is just so much more important now than it ever has been.
No, I think that's an outstanding point. And Ryan, just interested in your take on this, because you made a comment earlier that, in a lot of roles historically in executive search, you look for someone with a 20-year track record. I can point to this, and this, where I was successful. And you think about technology, it used to be a lot about, hey, these are the types of coding languages, programs, software products that I have used. I'm looking for more of that, or I've done an on-prem to cloud migration. We don't have that in AI, because the life cycle is so short. And so, Haley, you mentioned change agent is one of the pieces that you can look for in someone's past. What else are you looking for, Ryan, to ascertain whether a product officer, a technology officer, or an information officer is going to be adept and really help an organization make the jump?
Yeah, it's funny, Eric, because if you'd asked me this question 3 months ago, I would have I have a different answer now, and I'll have a different answer again 3 months from now, because there's evidence. There's absolutely evidence where you can look to a chief product officer or chief technology officer and how they're impacting products going to market as a product leader, how you're developing products, how you've changed your organization. There is evidence there. And we're seeing on the technology side of engineering, you're seeing what metrics really matter to them. It's not about lines of code anymore. Now it's about demo what you built this week. Demo it to me. And so show me what you've done, because that's completely fair. You're seeing different metrics, you're seeing different org structure. There's evidence to validate where somebody is in that AI arc, that AI learning curve. It's not a long history. And so what are you really hiring for? And Haley hit on this change agent. Let's to put it bluntly, you are hiring for potential. You are hiring for what's possible. And so intellectual curiosity, intellectual horsepower, drive, the ability to articulate your vision and where things can go, to get buy-in, to get followership. These are all things that are really important. By the way, no one should be surprised. Those are foundational leadership skills that we would have assessed against 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago. But they matter in this context in a really different way, because you, to some degree, you are placing a bet on where this person is going to take your product strategy, where this person is going to take your engineering organization that is generally a high percentage of your total headcount. Where's it going to go? What is the effective rate of the people you have in that organization? What metrics are going to matter? Because it's changing so quickly, you have to bet on potential. And Haley, I don't know what you would add to that, but it's a different screening process to some degree.
It's potential, and I use the word capability a lot. We're screening and we're assessing for and we're interviewing for, in some cases, capability. And it's not necessarily track record or experience, to your point, Ryan, but do you have belief in this person based on all number of signals that we can get through an interview process and through our own assessment? But at the end of the day, you really have to believe that they have the capability, and given the right tools, they're the one that's going to take you there. And a lot of that's been driven by, and you may or may not be going here, Eric, but in terms of what we've seen and kind of changing of the talent landscape and really the best type of talent for these new age, the new AI age, CPO, CTO, what does that look like? It's changed drastically over the past 6 months. And it's looking at, talent that we may not have looked at, 2 years ago for the same type of role. And it tends to be more step-up candidates, quite frankly, that possess a lot of these qualities of, the drive, the intellectual horsepower, the curiosity, the mental elasticity that someone has to have to get really excited about the world that we're living in today, really dig into the products, understand the ecosystem. That, the importance of that cannot be understated. So it really is driving an evolution of the type of leaders and the type of executives that we're looking at for these roles.
With the change in what we're looking for, I mean, we're always after the 1%. And Haley, you talked a little bit about earlier is actually getting them on your platform. What are the things that are convincing these executives to join the company? Is it purely compensation, or is culture part of that as well?
Culture is a huge part of it. And I've actually seen economics take a backseat to many other factors in the recruiting process. And it's interesting, people that could really do can go out there and market the hell out of themselves and make whatever they want. But at the end of the day, that's not what they're interested in. They're interested primarily in the problems they're solving. And when you think about that, it's not just the product itself. It's not just the market, the domain. It's the problem, but do I have the ability to solve the problem well? And that's when it comes down to, culture, the team around me, the sponsor, the level of excitement and investment that they're willing to put into the business as it relates to AI. Those aspects have become much more important than economics over the past several months for really great AI leaders.
No doubt. And look, I mean, I think all of our channel partner PE firms are assessing each one of their portfolio companies and what AI means to that. How is AI as a thesis within private equity impacting the industry and the leaders that we're recruiting?
I mean, it's really it's pretty aligned between the private equity, the sponsor, the private equity firm, and the portfolio company, that this is a huge part of the value creation and an opportunity to differentiate. And so it's interesting, and I'll hit on something Haley just said. The problem that a candidate gets to solve is what's drawing them in. But what we're seeing more and more in the vetting process, and by the way, it's the sponsor and the portfolio company vetting the candidate, but it's the candidate vetting the portfolio company and the sponsor. Are you ready? Are you ready to make that investment? Yes, it's in the thesis. Yes, it's a big impact. But I'm sure you've seen this as well, Haley, on our numbers of searches, that a candidate, as they go down the funnel of this process, they are asking tough questions of the portfolio company. Yes, you want to innovate. You want to leapfrog your competition. You want to use AI as that tool. Are you ready to do that? What is your investment in that? What is your willingness to make organizational changes, investment changes? What are you trading off on your list of to-dos? Your prioritization list has to change. And how much groundwork needs to get done in order to innovate? We've seen that time and time again. Like, we need you to innovate, but first there's about 1.5 years of foundational technical debt that it needs to get done first. And that's a decision that any candidate has to make, but it's a reality of what lots of candidates are going into. And so they're asking those tough questions of the sponsor and the portfolio company as well.
No, absolutely. And so when we think about that, what makes the product and tech leader of today? So what does that person look like, and what is it going to take for them to be successful?
Yeah, I'll start, Haley, if you want to jump in. I think we've hit on, just to recap on many of the things we've hit on, but the intellectual horsepower and drive. Haley, I love that word around elasticity and being able to pivot when you get new information, because new information is constant in this world. So those leadership qualities versus binary experience are critically important. But it's going to be evidence-based still. You can't just be super smart and a quick thinker. Most businesses are looking at someone who has done something in the development cycle or the product release cycle, the product itself, the customer end user facing product. There needs to be evidence. There's a term out there called AI whitewashing that everyone's probably read about. Like, you can't just say, hey, I launched a bot. That's not it. That is not part of the evidence solution anymore. So as people are looking at what a great AI talent looks like, there needs to be real evidence there.
Haley, what do you think makes the product and tech leader of today and the future?
Yeah, I think some of the things that we've already hit around just core qualities of intellectual curiosity, horsepower, mental elasticity, all of those things are super important, and someone has to have that inherent drive and energy. We need that even more so, given how exponentially fast this world is moving right now. And then beyond that, there's been an interesting convergence, and we're going to continue to see it, of product and technology over the past several months. And a lot of that was driven by a massive, release in November, which a lot of us are probably familiar with, that really just kind of elevated the impact of AI generated code and engineering execution, and all of the possibilities became more and more endless of what could happen there. And so you've started to see product development lifecycle and software development lifecycle moving closer and closer together, those organizations becoming much more intertwined. And whether or not a sponsor is coming to us and saying, we need a chief product and technology officer at this portco, and we're ready to bring them together. In some cases, that is the case, but in many cases, it's not. There's still a CPO and there's a CTO, and they're going to be running parallel paths. But the best CPOs and the best CTOs are already thinking about what that future state looks like. How are these teams coming together? They're considering the other side of the house in terms of how they think about their own strategy, their own team, the own ecosystem in which they're operating. We're seeing that more and more, regardless of which side of the house they're on.
No, it's extremely helpful. We're almost at time. Ryan, Haley, I've got one parting question for you, and I'm going to give you one sentence to answer it.
Oh, gosh.
You've got to give advice to one of our channel partners to create a product and tech organization that is AI forward. What would that advice be? Ryan, go first.
Hire for potential, because the rate of change over the next 18 months is going to be incredible. And the person that has that drive and has that capability is going to be your best bet. Yes, there will be evidence, but the potential is really what's going to take you to the level you're looking for.
Fantastic. Haley, same question.
My advice is, I mean, let's look at the team holistically and really figure out, where you need to add horsepower and fill in the gaps. And that could be CPO, it could be CTO, it could be any number of roles. But the accountability and the responsibility around AI at the end of the day and it being centralized sits with the CEO. So we need to now think about the entire ELT differently and really hone in on what you need specifically out of each role, including CPO and CTO.
Well, I think that team-based approach is so astute to make. And I think one of the things that we're seeing that I unpacked with Catherine Baker, the head of our CEO practice, is that more and more product officers are making their way to the top chair. And I think it's really indicative of the time, for sure. But Ryan, Haley, a lot of change going on in the market. Glad to have you guys on the case in the front lines, transforming these technology and product organizations. I hope you both have an amazing day and we'll speak again soon.
Thanks
Eric.
Eric.
Talk soon.